You're never too young to make an impact. At Yishun, 11-year-olds race to recycle. At Pidok, teenagers tackle the problem of food waste. And at CNA, students from ITE East suggest ways their campus could be carbon neutral. They're the next generation of leaders and stewards for our environment. So, can they show us how to lead a more sustainable lifestyle?
Yeah. It cannot be recyclable.
It cannot be in the circular economy.
Hi, I'm Azurgo, and this is the CNA Green Plan Challenge.
At ITE College East in CMA, students and faculty take sustainability very seriously. They don't just learn about it, they put it into practice through eco-projects all across campus.
That makes students here the ideal candidate for a social experiment I've planned out. Singapore is on a mission to reduce net carbon emission in schools by 2/3 and for 20% of schools to be carbon neutral by 2030. What does it take to be carbon neutral?
The first step is getting a handle on the school's carbon footprint. So, we are getting 12 students to play detective.
So your task for today is to go around the campus, collect all the information, all the data that you need to work out what are the top 3 carbon emitters in your school. But the challenging bit is that you are only given 2 hours to complete this. Do you think you can do that?
Yes!
Fantastic! For the enthusiasm, I'm going to flag you off in 3, 2, 1, let's go!
So first we'll tackle the 2 things on your carbon calculator that you can see, which is transport and food.
Swati, our green coach, will guide them in this investigation.
They will look for emissions through interviews. They will go talk to the staff and the school management and to gather the right information so they can calculate what the carbon emissions of the activities across the building is.
The students are split into 2 groups. Team Food Force looks into carbon contributors like food and transportation, while Team Greenaloo targets electricity and water usage. First, the students need to figure out the source of carbon emissions, and liquefied petroleum gas, or LPG, a fossil fuel used in our daily lives, is a good place to start.
It's also a good idea to think about where the emission comes from when LPG. When does the emission actually happen?
When we're cooking.
So our first activity is cooking.
Yeah.
Where shall we head to?
See one of them.
Canteen one.
Yeah,
Okay, let's go.
Here, students will look into common sources of carbon dioxide emissions, fridge and gas usage.
你们有用那个火炉去煮东西吗？
有，这个要开7个小时，早上开到4点半。
Do you leave on your refrigerator for the whole day?
Yes, because we need to keep for tomorrow using.
How many are there?
Display 2, in-store plus icebox 3.
Using a carbon calculator, the students convert raw data they've collected into a carbon footprint estimate, which shows them the average amount of carbon dioxide emitted per day due to these activities.
So the value we get with times 2, then we divide across all the stores. Then we get average rate.
3,900.
Okay, first one done.
Elsewhere on campus, Team Food Force is stopping passers-by in their tracks, asking some rather personal questions.
What form of transport do you take to school?
Where do you live?
How often do you eat beef or lamb in a week? How often do you eat pork or fish or chicken in a week?
4 to 5 times.
What is the distance between your house and your school?
Do you adopt a vegetarian diet?
Team Greenaloo heads off to learn about solutions, starting with their school's use of solar power.
Over here, you can see that this is a scaled-down model of PV installation that is found on the floating platform.
May I ask how much energy this produces in an hour?
So for this kind of solar panel, power is 350 watt peak. In College East, we have a total about 648 panels, which translate to about 819 kilowatt hour of energy.
So what we'll be able to do is calculate how many carbon emissions that are avoided by producing energy on campus through renewable sources.
Team Greenaloo and Team Food Force leave no stone unturned in their carbon investigations.
So how much energy does the chiller use and how long does it run?
How much water does the campus use per day?
How much plastic bottles and aluminum cans are being recycled in the school?
I like how informative it is, even though a lot of things was actually crammed together, and it sometimes makes my brain hurt a bit because I have to think a lot and I have to calculate a lot, but I think it's a very fun experience.
Whether there are students or not, the air conditioner is still on. We are not able to turn it off as it's a centralized cooling unit.
All right, guys, you've got 30 minutes left. I think you should start filling up your boards right now.
It's 0.0003.
And how much are you saving by recycling?
This calculator only takes what is produced.
What's the difference between these two?
This is how much material you used. This is the emissions of disposal.
So 6,000, 6.
It's the main focus.
After a morning of running around and working on some intense math, it's time for the teams to present these findings to their green coach and lecturers. First up, it's Team Food Force, who's looking at emissions from daily behaviors and habits.
So the first contributor is heavy meat diet. So it has carbon footprint of 1,271.78 per day. They have high CO2, which is caused by red meat and lamb.
And the second one will be the car, which is 166.06 per day, and it has more carbon intensive more than the public transport.
The one is aluminum cans, 139.816 per day.
Next, it's Team Greenaloo presenting their findings on carbon emissions from electricity and water usage.
So the first contributor will be the chiller, and the carbon footprint is 7935 kilogram carbon footprint per day.
For computer is rank number 2, produces 1,120.42 kilogram of carbon footprint per day.
In just the 2 hours, you have went around campus getting all this information, which I personally thought is really not easy to get.
It was super fun going around school and really like learning new things. So it was eye-opening.
What shocked me is how much things that we can actually recycle if we put in a bit more effort.
It doesn't really take a large amount of time, and maybe all of us, if we do just a tiny part of it, it will actually help out even more than everyone thinks.
The carbon investigation was the easy part, because next up for these students is a challenge. In the next 2 weeks, they will be designing a campaign to suggest ways on how their schoolmates can reduce carbon output. Will their methods be feasible, and will their peers be convinced? Adopting a more sustainable way of life can be made simpler with smart, eco-friendly innovations. And Singapore's Institutes of Higher Learning are helping the country light the way towards sustainability.
A lot of the research is done by our Institutes of Higher Learning, how they come up with new materials, new products, new designs in order to be much more environmentally friendly. And our belief is that for a small country like us, who is also alternative energy deficient, if we can do it, then there will be many lessons that we can share with the world.
Before institutes roll out sustainable innovations, they sometimes test their solutions on campus infrastructure. For example, the National University of Singapore pioneered the nation's first zero-energy building on campus. Beyond the technical achievement of producing as much energy as it consumes, the building exposes student engineers to a range of green technologies like solar panels and energy-efficient cooling and control systems. At the Institute of Technical Education's College East campus, sensors and data analytics are used to manage and conserve resources like energy, water and waste.
With the data being collected, we can also map out where are the opportunities we're able to save the energy or waste or even the waters that we are consumed upon. So this has benefit our electrical students in our learning. The data are made available to our electrical students to see the different trend of the energies that were harvested day to day.
It's part of the Institute's holistic sustainability strategy that equips students with the skills to implement sustainable technology in a world where energy from fossil fuels may grow more scarce.
In the last 50 years, we spent a lot of effort overcoming our water challenge. In the next 50 years, we also look forward to our IHLs combining efforts to also produce new research, produce new products and services that allow us to be much more environmentally friendly in our way of living. I'm very happy to see students like what we have in ITE building up real capabilities to help audit the sustainability projects that they are working on. and also come up with very practical ideas on how they can value add to this.
Back to the challenge. Students are designing a campaign that could influence fellow schoolmates to reduce their carbon footprint. They have 2 weeks to complete it, and they're using some rather interesting methods.
This is how you beat the heat!
Just a fun idea that we came up with, it's another alternative that we beat the heat instead of using air conditioner.
I feel very cool. But sometimes you have to do all this funny stuff to convey the message to the rest.
So here we have 20 cans and we're gonna quiz you on our school's recycling rate. So among these 20 cans, how many cans do you think that are actually recycled?
8.
You are wrong! Only 1 can is being recycled.
Can you guess which part of Singapore will be submerged by 2100?
I think somewhere here.
This area here will be submerged by 2100.
100 years time.
So we have no more Changi Airport, all this stuff.
I feel really scared. No more Changi, nasi lemak, airport, man. I know food, want to fish also get
I don't know what to say. I'm totally shocked.
While shock and entertainment values are important for gaining traction, the teams must also make sure that they are offering up practical climate solutions. Good thing they have Swati to keep them in check.
Your problem statement is there's not enough recycling, but where you want to get to is very vague, is you just want to increase it. So if you have an exact number and come up with the logic as to how you come to that number.
Oh, it's like a smart goal.
You don't have to have the answer, but you just have to have an idea of what you think is achievable. Are you ready?
Our students have just 3 days to go. Barely enough time to sort out any inconsistencies in their presentation.
Something wrong with the slide because the problem statement there is not very correct. You actually did not quite link your survey to what you have.
Weeks of preparation, hours of meetings. Today, the students will showcase their efforts to a panel of judges, including a special guest.
Good morning, welcome to CNA Green Plan's called the Carbon Challenge. We're gonna jump straight into it. We're gonna start with Food Force right now. I'm gonna invite them on stage.
Team Food Force is starting strong. They've prepared a video to teach and encourage schoolmates on the importance of recycling.
So it to you guys.
Wait, don't you know you can actually recycle a can? Firstly, you have to clean out the excess liquid in the can. This is to prevent any contamination in the recycling bin.
We have plans to put this video in schools' eateries such as the canteen and the cafes. We also showed them our original picture of Singapore and asked them to draw which parts they would think that will be submerged by 2100. And on the right is a picture of Singapore in 2100 if our carbon emissions are unchecked. So this really shows the true impact of our greenhouse gases. We plan to increase our current recycling rate of 5% to 15% by the end of year gradually. We can take baby steps together as a country to work towards a brighter and greener Singapore before it is too late to reverse the irreversible. Thank you.
Next, Team Greenaloo is turning up the heat on their rivals.
Now I will be sharing about our campaign called #BeatTheHeat. My team and I took up the initiative to create an Instagram account with the objective of raising awareness and share different ways on how we as a community can reduce our carbon footprint. We share information on aircons and different ways on how we can minimize our aircon usage at home.
It is 11 p.m. right now and I'm setting my aircon to 26 degrees. Personally, I think it was okay. And overall, I think I'll just continue doing that.
We shared that they should run their aircon for 1 hour by setting a timer and then switching to a fan after that.
This is how you #BeatTheHeat. I'm feeling cool, it feels great, especially on a hot weather.
So as you can see, we use ice packs instead to cool down our body temperature.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can see the efforts that was presented today. There are survey, there are props, there are also graphical presentation of their data. And not only that, they make use of the social media to engage their stakeholders.
The most important factor is the need to change mindsets of people. And this is the hardest thing to change. So I really like the efforts of both the teams in focusing on making behavior change happen.
Whose presentation has left an impression? Who will be the winning team?
I'd just like to invite our guest of honor today, Mr. Cha Chun Sing. If you can just join me on stage. Supporters, are you ready? All right, 2 weeks, sleepless nights, it boils down to this. We'd like to say congratulations for all the hard work to both teams, but the winner for the Green Plan Challenge would be Team Green
I feel very relieved and I was very thankful of this experience. I get to meet new friends and learn new things with all of them.
I felt that our hard work has paid off. It helped us as we students broaden our knowledge through our investigation, running around in schools, calculation.
Just by inviting them to do the small little things such as using the aircon only when we are going to sleep, just inviting them to step up and make small changes to our daily habits.
These students have accomplished the difficult task of investigating how their actions on campus contribute to their school's carbon footprint and came up with practical solutions for a positive change.
In every industry, there are green roles in those industries that require green capabilities. We hope that they will be able to build up real capabilities that will allow them to get green jobs in the future.
Food. It sustains us, gives us life. But food, or more specifically, the way we consume it, is killing our planet. That's because food waste is responsible for up to 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Singaporeans waste a lot of food, making it one of the most significant types of waste generated. In 2020, 665,000 tons of food were thrown out. That's the weight of 46,000 double-decker buses. And households are the biggest culprits of this waste. This is Bedok, an idyllic town in the eastern part of Singapore. And since teenagers are the future of our nation, we are going to challenge some youths in Bedok to be the change and do their part for the environment.
Food waste. It's inevitable. Even I'm guilty of that sometimes. So how do we reduce the amount of food that we waste? Do we even know where to start? I'm here today at Damai Secondary School to conduct a little experiment.
Knowledge is power. Because the more you know about a problem, the better you're able to fix it. Today, these teenagers will relive their childhoods with a game of snakes and ladders. It's a test to see how much they know about food waste.
Which of the following can you do as an individual to help minimize food wastage?
D.
D. All of the above is absolutely right! Yay! Okay. Wow!
I was shocked at the amount of waste that's been thrown throughout the world.
That shocked me a lot because I didn't expect it's going to be a lot, you know.
1.3 billion tons, 5 million tons, 300,000 tons, or 45,000 tons. It's correct! Yay! Well done!
So I think that we should stop throwing waste because it damages the environment and it wastes food.
13%, 24%, 18%, or D, 21%.
I learned not to buy too much food to put into one trolley as we might not be able to finish all the food before the expiry date.
We don't overbuy our ingredients and only the amount that you want.
Lock in! B is right, 24%! Yay! Of your set to roll. True or false? You can make your own food compost at home. What are some benefits of food compost? Look out! 4, 5, 6. Well done. That's right, B is right. Bob is absolutely right. Absolutely right. Actually, I was quite surprised that, a lot of the questions they actually knew the answers to. And I think this was something that I didn't have back in school, So I think it's great to see that, this is being implemented in their curriculum. That's something that they're learning about, and I was very impressed by that.
Filling knowledge gaps could be key to solving Singapore's food waste problem. Here's some food for thought. A lot of energy is used to ship, process and produce food. So when perfectly edible food is thrown away, that's unnecessary energy wasted. Unlike snakes and ladders, eliminating food waste cannot be left to chance. It's about choice, which these students are about to learn. Today, they are bringing their food scraps to school. And over the next few weeks, we will be challenging them to reduce food waste by returning the nutrients of these food scraps they've collected back to the soil. Composting is how we can turn food waste into something useful, a nutrient-rich fertilizer produced by the decomposition of organic matter. But it's more than just dumping a bunch of food scraps together and letting them rot. To help these students understand the art and science of composting, we've roped in an expert.
My name is Ching Wei, and I'm a compost maker. So today I'm here to talk to you about compost.
Having spent more than a decade making compost, Ching Wei's on a mission to pass on this skill to more people in the community.
Always store the food scraps that you want to compost in the fridge or freezer to keep it fresh. So when you make compost, you are not going to treat it as a rubbish dump. It is more like you're going to learn how to make wine and cheese. Compost gets better with age.
The process can take months. To speed things up, Ching Wei has prepared a compost inoculant.
It's just matured compost that's about 6 months old. If you add a bit of matured compost with all the bacteria and fungi already in it, it will speed up the composting process. They will make.
The students got really excited. They were like getting right into it and looking into the bottles. Some of them were happily touching and playing with the worms in them. So that was really good to see.
Armed with the knowledge of what composting is all about, it's time for the students to get their hands dirty.
We'll start with the bottom layer first, and that would be the carbon materials. So what is in your carbon material? Leaves, yes.
A compost pile is basically the layering of brown and green materials. Dry and brown organic matter provides carbon, while green matter provides oxygen.
So the final layer on top of your food scrap should be carbon. So it can be wood shavings, or it can be dried leaves, or it can be a mix of both. So what is this?
It's almost like a cooking class gone crazy. So everybody is running around doing their own thing, but they're checking in with me to make sure that they got it right, and they're asking me questions as they go along.
I was a bit disgusted because I never did it before, but it's quite enjoyable.
I think my food compost won't look very good in 4 weeks, but I will try my best.
Good compost is the result of striking the right balance between carbon, nitrogen and oxygen. Too little oxygen, the compost will reek of rotten eggs. Too much nitrogen, and it will smell like ammonia. Should the students succeed, they will get compost that simply smells like fresh earth in 4 weeks' time.
There are a few students who make beautiful layers right throughout, so I really have high hopes for those composts. So I think in about 2 to 3 weeks, we can start to see the process happening.
Composting lessons like this will only serve its purpose if students extend what they've learnt beyond the classroom. And that's where the Ministry of Education's Applied Learning Programme comes in.
The Applied Learning Programme, also known as the ALP, allows students to connect whatever they have learned in the classroom to real-world context. At Damai Secondary School, for example, in the food waste lesson, students participate in open discussion and role-play as different stakeholders to really understand the problem of food waste and how to better manage them.
Back to the challenge. Students at Damai Secondary have learnt how to turn food waste into something useful, a compost, a nutrient-rich fertilizer. But there is a faster and easier way to reduce food waste altogether. Just buy less. Are our students from Damai Secondary responsible food shoppers? Our green coach and host are joining them for lunch to find out.
We're making ramen for lunch, and we got these from the supermarket yesterday.
Okay, so Sean, after what you learned in school about compost and all that, before you went to the supermarket, did you check your fridge first for the ingredients that you have so you don't double buy? Do you make a list?
No, we do not make a list, as in our minds we already know what to buy, as my dad and I have made ramen quite a number of times.
So this amount of food with a slab of meat, this is beef.
Yes.
And some seaweed and 2 punnets of mushrooms, 3 eggs. That is a great spread for a family of 4 for lunch.
Perfect portions for a ramen lunch, it seems. But most of us waste more food than we think, and Qingwei knows just the place to reveal our blind spots.
I noticed that your vegetable bins are full. You have a huge variety of vegetables in there, such as eggplant and corn. And I also see something interesting, pizza sauce. This is actually expiring this month. So instead of having ramen for lunch and going out to buy the beef and the mushrooms, perhaps you could also make pizza and use up the sauce before it expires. And I think eggplant and corn and the mushrooms that you already got, they would go really well on the pizza.
Today's session was really interesting. I mean, I get to know that I had a pizza sauce that was going to expire in the fridge. So I thought moving forwards, it would be very good maybe to look through the fridge to see whether there are things that's expiring and maybe prioritize on those so that we make use of them before they expire.
Small steps like getting wise about expiry dates can go a long way in reducing food waste. Over at another corner of Bedok, a Damai student and her mother are already practicing some good habits to minimize wastage.
Cik, saya nampak kat sini ada satu kontainer besar ni. Cili ke? Kuah ke?
Tu cili dah blender.
Dan biasanya kalau cik buat satu kontainer macam gini, boleh pakai berapa lama ni?
1 week lah. Seminggu tu habis lah.
Dan saya lihat kalau dalam peti ais ni memang tak banyak bahan-bahan yang macam cepat rosak, sayur-sayur.
Hari-hari pergi pasar and terus masak and habis lah.
The next day pergi pasar lagi. Wah, bagus.
It's been a week since our students started concocting their composts. About time to add in more nutrients. Today, they're on a hunt for food waste. The canteen is a good place to start.
So you've asked the food stalls to save you some food scraps. Yeah, so we're going to ask for them.
Uncle, do you have the food scraps?
Huh?
Do you have the food scraps?
Eggshells, is it? How long do you keep this, Uncle?
A few days, but we watch and it's still a big.
Okay, so where are we taking them now?
I'm gonna bring this to the compost.
Okay, let's go.
Everybody, so as you can see, when you make your compost right and you get a layering right and you give it water, it comes alive. And now, because of all the microbes that have become activated in your compost, your food scraps have been digested. And that's why you don't really see your food scraps anymore. And today, what we're about to do is to feed your microbes again.
Okay, so what are you adding to your compost today?
Veggie.
So last week you did the same thing as well, right? Where you added food scraps. And today it's become, it's completely disintegrated. You can't see anymore. How does it make you feel when you look at it?
It looks okay, like not that bad.
It's quite cool, right?
Yeah.
Have you tried smelling it?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Maybe.
Is it nasty?
No.
Should I try?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's okay actually. It smells like soil-ish. It's quite natural, the smell.
That's the sign of a healthy compost. But there are many ways that the carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and water content in the compost can be thrown off balance.
Here I have an example of a compost that was made well last week, but did not finish well this week. So the students have basically left food scraps in big chunks and just left it right on top of the compost. So what this is going to do if we leave it uncovered with wood shavings is a lot of the flies will come. And this is where we start to get the rotting happening, the stings and all the pests. Anyone else notice anything happening in their containers?
There are these white slugs in mine.
Well, it could be a maggot, or it could be the larva of a black soldier fly.
Okay.
So when your compost is not as bioactive as it can be, nature will send in other helpers. And these guys will help to eat up the food scraps. So it's all very normal. I think it's great that the students have a healthy sense of curiosity. They were open to having maggots and flies in their compost.
I would honestly have had a more violent reaction towards the flies and maggots and worms, and I thought that the students would react that way as well, but I was very surprised that they were so calm about it and that, you know, they didn't really have a reaction. I think I'm very excited to see what happens next week when the compost is fully ready, when they take it all out and it gets mixed in with the soil in the school grounds.
One week later, it's the moment of truth. Our students' composts have fully matured, and it'll be put to good use. They'll be feeding their labor of love to a mango tree.
What I'm going to get you to do is to pick this container up and move it to this part of the tree, and then we'll start putting the compost on the ground. So let's go.
All right, let's go.
So we're going to take handfuls of the compost, lay it on the ground from here onwards, and we're going to follow the shadow of the canopy. Just go around the tree.
It's been pretty fun, I would say. After a few months, the fruits and vegetables has been broken down into compost. I will teach to other people as they could also help the earth by making compost.
From this journey, I've really learned how to use leftover food like orange peels and banana peels to make compost. And I feel really satisfied knowing that I've learned something new and also I can help the environment by doing this.
It's been crazy. In a good way. I've never made compost indoors with 75 students before, so it was a big experience. Well, my hope for this tree is that the compost can help it grow perhaps lusher. Maybe it'll start to flower. It will be a long process. This will take a few months. As for the students, I do hope that they have found it interesting and that they were able to pass it on to their family, their friends, or fellow students.
Do you know that Singapore generates about 2,000 tons of waste daily? Much of our waste ends up on our landfill on Semakau Island to be incinerated. But space in the landfill is running out, fast.
At the rate we're going, the landfill is going to be filled by 2035, in just 13 years. So what can we do to slow down the amount of waste we generate? One way is to recycle.
Singapore has set a national recycling rate target of 70% by 2030.
Even if we're recycling, maybe we're not doing it right. 40% of what goes into our recycling bins cannot be recycled. Maybe we can do better. Maybe our children can show us how to.
We're off to Yishun. More specifically to Yishun Primary School, where our host, Azura, has set up a social experiment to find out if these 10-year-olds know what can and can't be recycled.
So we're now at the basketball court. This is the starting point of our little social experiment. We've got two teams of students from Yishun Primary School. Are you excited to be playing this little game with us today?
Yes! Since one man's trash is another's treasure, what better way to test the students' recycling knowledge than a game of treasure hunt? Hui Ling, our green coach from Zero Waste SG, will be guiding them in today's activities.
Okay, so you've got paper and you've got paper cups. So one thing is recyclable and one is not.
This is not paper.
Oh, it isn't.
Yeah, it's not paper.
Yeah. Okay, so but still, it's already contaminated with the dirt water.
As it turns out, telling rubbish and recyclables apart is no child's play.
What are the two items that you all found? Paper and
paper cup.
Paper cup. Actually, what's the correct answer?
Yeah.
This one, paper.
Yeah.
It's recyclable.
Yeah.
So you both get 1 point each.
Yeah.
This is called paper cup, right? But it's not recyclable. You all know why? Usually they have a layer of plastic that they surround the cups because they don't want it to get too wet, if not the water will come up. So this will become mixed media. When it's mixed, right, it's very, very difficult to recycle. So paper cups like this, not recyclable.
Not knowing how to recycle right is a huge barrier to going green. That's because recyclables that are contaminated are no different from general waste, and not all materials belong to the blue bin.
Recyclable. This is so obvious. Because the paper. So the glass can be melted and made into other stuff. But the styrofoam can be used for other things too.
But it cannot be recyclable.
No, even if
What do you find? A pen. Oh, bottle. Okay. What we turn it around to here? What do we see below here?
A sign.
Yeah. What does the sign say?
1 use.
No, the sign is a triangle, right? What's inside the triangle?
1.
1. 1 is the best type of plastic to recycle.
So
this type of plastic, what do you think? Bottle made of plastic, right? Plastic is recyclable. Very good. Yeah. So what is this? Styrofoam, right? Cannot be recycled. So well done. Why you all choose cannot recycle? It's contaminated, or rather, because there's water inside. Again, you spill out, you contaminate everything else, right?
I didn't know that things that were merged together with different materials couldn't be recycled that easily. I always thought that there was always only one type of plastic and one type of metal and nothing else.
Now that we've learned a little bit more about recycling, next we want to challenge students to give items a second life by upcycling.
So I want to introduce this concept of circular economy. So it's all about how do we keep things out of the trash, right? How do we keep things as useful and not to go into the trash? You make, you use, but before throwing, even before recycling, you do repair, you try to reuse first, then you recycle, and then it goes back. So it's one big loop. You close the loop so that you don't bring anything to become trash.
Unlike recycling, which breaks down the product into its raw materials, using energy and producing some wastes in the process, upcycling basically gives an unwanted item a new lease of life without wasting many resources. To get these students started on their upcycling journey, our green coach is giving them a crash course.
Cut your bottle into 2. So it should look like that.
Plastic bottles to self-watering planters. Old t-shirts to tote bags. The possibilities are endless.
I need you all to fold it into half like this. Make sure the hole big enough that when you put your hand through to carry the bag, you can carry. Can we see your toes? Wow, very nice, all very good. Okay, well done.
After learning what upcycling is all about, it's time to put the students' creativity to the test. Over the next few weeks, we will be challenging them to design their own upcycling project, and their parents will be helping them along the way. Who will do their school proud? Regardless of the results, society wins in this challenge. Because the idea is for students to apply what they learnt in school to the community. This is in line with MOE's Eco-Stewardship program, which Yishun Primary School is a part of. The school is no stranger to the concept of sustainability. To nurture young eco-stewards, the school has designed its very own integrated farming system.
The integrated farming system is an aquaponics system powered by solar panels. Water containing waste generated by farm tilapias are pumped into 6 vegetable beds.
Nothing goes to waste here. The vegetables gain nutrients from the wastewater and in turn keeps the water clean for the fishes.
So if you snip, this can be eaten, you put into the bag, and then we will bag it.
There's so many insects there. Stop. Tell it to her. I'll tell it to her.
Beyond the academic curriculum, we also want them to have the opportunity to reach out to the community around the school. So for example, when they are learning the topic on farms in Singapore for social studies, they actually get to make use of the school facilities like the aeroponic system to grow vegetables. And these vegetables are actually donated to the community fridge located at the back of the school. So in their own small way, they are able to contribute and they are able to see how their efforts actually can help make a positive impact to the community around them.
most important thing about the eco stewardship program is that we want all our students to know that they have agency. They all can do something for themselves. They can all do something for the environment. Then they'll be able to spread the message to the rest of the society and their community using their own innovative ways. And with this, we are confident that progressively we will raise an entire generation who is much more conscious of what they can do and what they want to achieve.
And that's exactly what the CNA Green Plan Challenge is all about. The students are given 1 week to transform unwanted items into useful functional products together with their parents. Time to check in on how they're doing.
I'm trying to make a stationery holder, with 3 different heights of cut bottles.
So these used to be PET bottles, right?
Yeah.
The mineral water bottles.
Yes.
Okay, that's a very cool idea.
I used this shelf and I spray painted it, and I also used a shoebox cover. These are bookmarks that I use when I read books. I use ice cream sticks and also shoebox cover.
It's bean sprout, but we use the used capsules for fertilizing. So we put in a layer of cotton wool so that it can store more water, so the excess water won't go to waste. And after that, we put in a layer of coffee ground and then the beans.
So I actually just cut the bottom half of a bottle. And I also cut ears and I spray painted it and I used markers to draw.
The students may be new to upcycling, but their efforts have even rubbed off on their parents.
We didn't think that upcycling is something sustainable for us, but having done the project with her, I guess it's something that we can look into in the near future and maybe do more on our part to recycle. Recycling is something that every one of us has to play a part in order to bring an impact or make a difference in today's world. Yeah.
他比我更会，会一些，但是不是这么日常，不会说啊每天都会有 recycle。但是因为他在学校学习，所以他回来反而是给我们很好的提醒。
So we met you a week ago with, tasked you to go home, get items from your home that usually would have been trash and to upcycle them. And I can see your projects on your table. They look so good. I think we're excited to find out what you've made as well. Did you have fun making them?
Yeah.
Our judges will be assessing their upcycled creations. The students have 3 minutes to win the judges over by presenting their ideas and explaining how they've given a new life to items that would otherwise have been thrown away.
This is what I call the lifesaver. What it does is you hold the string, take this, then you throw it at a person in the ocean, and then you can just pull them back to shore.
So I made an apron out of a recycle bag. My father and me did this together. I didn't use just any recycle bag because some of my bags at home, the handle like this was broken. This part we cut it off, so it looks like this.
I really like the part where you said you use bags that were really damaged. So you're actually taking waste and coming with something functional and useful. Yeah, I thought that was really good.
All our students have used their creativity to give materials otherwise destined for the landfill a second life. And that's the spirit of upcycling.
Before we start the prize presentation, how about you give yourselves a huge round of applause because you all put in so much work. Yay!
While all the students have impressed the judges with their creations, there are 3 that stood out. And they are Shutin's recycling bin made purely with used plastic bottles, Rei Qi's functional apron made out of damaged recycled bags, and lastly, Shayna's model juxtaposing a polluted world against a clean and green utopia. And she has done so using old cardboard and used items.
Okay, good job.
Good job! Yay!
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, keep it up the good work. Yeah.
All of you did a great job, so congratulations!
Everyone's a winner when we do our part for the environment. Over the past week, these budding eco-stewards have learned how to sift through trash for treasures.
I was most excited about the treasure hunt because of the thrill of finding stuff. Now I know what can be recycled, so I can add more recyclables to my pile of recycled trash.
They have also learnt that sustainable living isn't always tedious. All they need is a splash of creativity.
I enjoy making my projects because it was fun. I always used to throw out my cardboard and my cereal boxes and paper. But then I learned that trash is not trash unless you waste it.
We've challenged the students to give regular materials a second life, and boy, did they rise to the challenge. Regular items like plastic bottles, egg cartons that we throw out without even giving them a second thought, they've made them into something else, something that they can use. If these 11-year-olds can do it, so could we all.
Join us again next week for another episode of the CNA Green Plan Challenge. In the meantime, we would like to congratulate the residents of Yishun. Your town is the winner of the CNA Green Plan Online Challenge Sustainable Living Edition. Thank you for sharing stories of your green journeys with us.